Welcome to Healthy Way Consulting's webinar series. My name is Andrew Clark and I am owner-operator of Healthy Way Consulting. This webinar will help you understand how to access data from the Census of Canada for free. This is especially important as Statistics Canada just finally released the socioeconomic data for the 2021 Census of Canada. This means that the entire data set is now ready for use by researchers and analysts to help understand the current status of the population of Canada. If you're interested in utilizing this data in your work, but don't have the expertise or experience, please visit healthywayconsulting.ca for my contact information and to see how we can help you. So this webinar is going to have 5 main sections. We're going to start off by showing you how to download Beyond 2020. Then we're going to talk about the raw census data and how to download it from Census Canada. Then we're going to give you an overview of how Beyond 2020 can work to select geography and variables you want to evaluate by manipulating that raw census data you downloaded. We're then going to show you how to export it to save data, and then download the boundaries data from Statistics Canada, which will then be used to create a basic map. All the links you're going to need for this project can be found in the description below. To start, we're going to go into Beyond 2020, which is a professional browser that allows you to view IVT tables contained within the Statistics Canada product. So what you need to do is click on this Beyond 2020 browser and it will automatically download the executable file. Now, a couple things to be aware of. One, this is only available for Windows. So if you're a Mac user or Apple user, you can't really use this. So you might have to use a different type of data. But the IVT files are the easiest to work with, easiest to clean before you get to the point of actually running analysis. Okay, so I really recommend it. So you just click on this and it will download it into your downloads folder. Once you've downloaded Beyond 2020, you'll find it in your downloads folder, and you just double click on it and you're able to install the software. You'll have to extract the files, unzip it using the Pro Browser self-extractor, and then install it. I've already installed it on my computer, but you're just going to walk through the steps to make sure it's all installed. Okay. And you're going to find it once it's there. It should be right at the top, professional browser. Okay. So that I have downloaded. The next step is you're going to go into the census profile downloads, which again, I have provided a link below. You'll see there's a lot of different versions of this data for different geographic levels. So there's the entire provinces and territories, and that starts going down from there. So the CMAs or metropolitan areas, census amalgamations, census subdivisions, census divisions, and then finally we get to the DAs, dissemination areas. There's other ones down here that you may or may not want to use, but for the sake of this project or this demo, I'm going to use the census dissemination areas for Ontario only. I really recommend using the provinces or the regions of the provinces so that you can you don't have the full data set because it's quite large and it's a lot of data to sift through. So using as specific as you can will help you. You'll notice there is a CSV file, so a common separated value file, and a tab file. You will run into issues with CSVs or tabs because the files are very large, and Excel, for instance, if that's what you use, as many do, to view your data, won't allow this big of a file to be viewed in it. So IVT is what I recommend. If you use something like Google, the Excel version of Google Sheets, sorry, that's what I was trying to get to, or if you use Libra Open Data or Open Office, so Libra Open Office, they do have larger limits, so you might be able to work in there. But as I mentioned before, there's a huge amount of data. So it does get very convoluted trying to view that many rows and tables to try to find exactly what you want. So I highly recommend you use the IVT. It allows you to set up everything exactly the way you want. So I'm going to download that by clicking on it, and it will go into your downloads folder, which I don't have right now. So I will click on that and wait for it to download. It will take a bit of time because the file is large. So just be aware of that and know that this is that you're going to have to wait a few minutes for this to download. So once the file is downloaded, you're going to see that you have the zip file here. So if you double click on the zip, you can just drag this IVT file into your downloads folder to extract it, or you can click the extract all button. Okay. So it really doesn't matter which way you do it. Either hit extract and then it will set up all the defaults, or you can click and drag it into the location you want in File Explorer. So now you can see the IVT files here. So I'm just going to drag it into my Beyond 2020 viewer. And this is the default of what it looks like, okay? You're going to have here on the left a list of all the information, the fields that you have access to, and this is for all of Canada. And then it has it divided by gender. And notice the new categories for gender. So it's men plus and women plus, meaning it's including trans identity in these categories. So in order to view it by geography, a couple changes you need to make. You're going to click on this geography up here and drag it into where the characteristics are. And you're going to see right away, now we can see all of the geographic data. Okay. Now I'm also going to click on statistics and drag that down to here where the gender is. Sorry, that's actually not what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to move that back up here. I'm actually going to take the characteristics and drag that down, because that's all the characteristics of the population. If you want to get the statistics, you can drag this down as well. And what this will do is it will add accounts and rates for every single variable along here, okay? Which may be helpful, but I prefer to actually calculate my own percentages and rates so I know exactly how it's calculated, okay? So now you're going to see on the left here is your geography with the DAs within the census subdivisions, which is the way it organizes it. So let's say we want to find the City of London data. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on this little search button up here. And I'm going to search under English description, which is what you see here. And I'm going to search for London. So I'm going to hit OK. And you're going to see it's going to find the London City subdivision. And I actually used the wrong version here because I said reduce. So then it reduced only to the City of London. I should have had find next. So let me just show all and try this again. So again, I'm going to go to here. I'm going to find next instead, and English description London. Hit OK. And it's going to find none. So let me just do that one more time because I think I had the wrong English description, London, find next. Oh, it would be under geotype description. Nope. Oh, it's because it's already found it. Because I was down too far. So if I go back up above where I was and search London, it's not going to find a next if there isn't a next. So you can see now London is there. So you can see the way it's organized. The City of London is here. And if I scroll down, I can see every DA within the City of London, which I believe is like 500 and some. Okay, up to North Middlesex. So if I want to select only those DAs, I'm going to go up to the first piece of London. I'm going to make sure it's highlighted black. I'm going to go down to where the City of London ends. There we go. Hit Shift and select the last one as well. So now you're going to see every geography DA within the City of London is there. So I can right click and click Show. And you're going to see everything else gets removed from my data set. So it's only showing the DAs within the City of London. The next thing you want to do is pick out the fields that you want to evaluate. So I'm going to pick out, and remember, there's a lot of them. So there are a lot of rows. So we have to be careful when we're going through them that we don't miss things we want. So I want to show population 2021, and I don't want to show the next any of the age groups. So I'm going to go to the end of the age groups. That's median age, right click, and I'm going to hide. Now you can see when I hide them, everything I hid is no longer showing. So now I'm going to select the first one there, and I'm going to look to where I see the next set of data that I want to look at. And that's median household income. And I know, because I've looked at this before, that I want to get total income. So median total income. Sorry. You got to hover over the I. Median total income in 2020 is the field I want. So I'm going to select the one after it or before it and go all the way back to the beginning and get occupied private dwelling using shift. So you select all of them, and then you can hide all of those ones. Okay. So median total income is there. The I shows you that's what it is. I'm going to keep going right, and I actually want to remove everything else because I only want median household income to be there. Now you can put all the ones you want, no big deal. But I'm right clicking, hiding all of them. And this just allows me to only see the data that I want to download. And there's a lot of different fields here, so you just have to be aware of that. Let's see if I do this. You can use your arrow keys to go to the end. It's a bit tedious. Okay, there we go. I'm going to click on that one and then go all the way to the right again, or left again. Because it wasn't selected. Okay, hit shift, hit the first one. I'm going to hide. Now what I could have done instead was select these two and just say show, and then it would only show those ones and remove everything else. Okay, so now you see the two data sets I have. So I can save it, or two variables I have. I can save it by going to File and Save As. I'm going to change the data type as a comma separated file. You can also use an Excel if you want. I just like CSV. It makes it easier for me to run. And then you're going to save it in a location you can find. Now, just be aware, it's really annoying. This is a very old version of the save file. So you have to find your location. So if you want to save it in downloads or documents or somewhere like that, you do have to manually find out where it is, which would be in users, then your username. So at this point, I'm going to save it as census data 2021. And when I go into that folder, that downloads folder, you'll see that data is there. So when I open it, I'm going to see a few different things. First of all, you're going to see that the DA is here with a very long data information. You're going to see that population, median total income are there, but these are in a format that we can't use in most software. And you'll also see any missing data is identified with an X. So there's a few things you need to do. So the first is I'm going to simplify our category for the ID number. And that's called a DAUID. And we're going to use the left function to take the 8 characters that are part of the DAUID. So all left is doing is it's saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 characters are going to get assigned here. And then to copy this all the way down, I can just double click on this little arrow at the top, and you'll see this is going to calculate it for all 571 DAs. Okay. Once that's done, I'm going to copy it and go paste values. So again, copy and then paste values, and you're going to see this is going to change it from a formula into the actual value we want it to be. At that point, we can delete the geography and we're good to go. The next piece we want to do is we want to simplify our variable names, because any statistical package or GIS environment, we can't have commas and spaces within the variable name. So we want to keep something short and sweet so it's easy for us to understand what's there, but it's not going to confuse the software we're putting data into. So I'm going to change this one to POP 2021, and I'm changing this one to median income. Okay. So this is median income. Okay. So we have that. The last thing we need to do is remove all of the X's and turn them into a more meaningful value. So I'm just going to replace all. So Control H allows you to get that. So I'm going to replace it with nothing for now. You may want to replace it with a -1. You may want to replace it with some value, but it would have to be an integer so that when you bring it into your statistical package or your GIS environment, that it will still classify this as a number. Okay. So once that's all done and you're happy with the way your data is, we're going to save it and close it. And now we're ready to use it for future analysis. Okay. So I can close up this as well. The last thing you may want to do is bring this into a GIS environment so you can visualize the data. So I'm going to do that by going to the census boundary file, and I'm going to download the shapefile for the statistical boundary of dissemination areas. Okay. So I'm going to continue here and download that file. And I already have ArcGIS Pro open, so I'm able to bring in that data so we can evaluate it and show it in our GIS environment. So I'm going to start by right-clicking or going to my folders, and I'm going to add my downloads folder where I have everything stored right now. Or not. Just give me a second here. So that data should be done. Oh, it's still downloading, that's why. So it should take a couple minutes to download. 30 seconds left. And what that's going to bring in is I actually have this file already here. Is it's going to bring in a shape file with all the DAs in Canada. Okay. So originally speaking, the way this data is going to look, and here it is, it's in a zip file, and it's in the file of a shape file, in a format of a shape file, which is just a whole bunch of pieces of information separately stored with the same name. So we can bring that into our downloads once we unzip it. So I just dragged all these into downloads, so it's all in one location. Once that's there, I can open up that file or added that data by clicking on Add Data, finding my documents or my downloads. Oh, I have to refresh. There we go. And it's there. Okay. But I've already have this into my geodatabase, so there you can see it. Now the next thing I'm going to want to do is connect all the Ontario MH or the house income data, personal income data to this. So I'm going to add a table to my data set. And I'm going to add it through that census data file we just created. So I'm going to hit Add Data. And when I go into here, you're going to see in the attribute table, you're going to see we have the DAUID, we have the population 2021, and we have median income. Okay. And if I go into the spatial data attribute table, you're going to see we have DAUID and so on. Now, one thing to be aware of is by default, the DAUID from the CSV file is going to be in an integer format. The DAUID in the boundary file is a string. So we do need to create a new field to store that information. So I'm going to just add a field or calculate a new field and just call it DAUID int, change the type to long, and then I'm just going to calculate it by putting the DAUID in here. So once that runs, it's going to have a new ID. It's going to allow us to join data together. So if I go into geoprocessing, once this is done, I'll be able to join our fields together. Okay, so there we go. We have our new integer. So I can go into geoprocessing and click join field, which allows us to join our fields together. So I put the LDFA as there. I'm going to pick the integer version. I'm going to pick the census data and join field with the DAUID. And then we can choose the fields we want to bring over. So I'm going to bring both the population and the median income over. I'm going to run that. And you're going to see the new fields get added to the end of this. And you can do the same thing in QGIS or ArcMap. I just have this one handy on my computer, so that's why I'm using it. So I'm just going to zoom into approximately where London is, because remember, we only downloaded the data for the City of London. Right here. So once this is done running, we'll be able to see the results. So I'm just going to pause the recording for a second while we wait for that to go, so you don't have to watch my the progress bar just moving. Okay, now you can see the population and income here. You'll see a lot of null values, and that's just because we only have attached the ones for London. So we can change that by right-clicking on LDA, the DA file, and we're going to go to symbology, and we can view our, drag that into there, and I'm going to change it to graduated colors based on our based on, instead of land area, median income. And you can see right away, it's going to convert all of the null values to nothing. And you're going to see the City of London and how everything, the median household income across the city. Let's change it to quantile, so we have equal number of groups in every one, and a more appropriate color grouping. And here you go, you see the dark is the most, the highest income, the white is the lowest income, and we're good to go. Okay, so just as a reminder of what we did in this webinar, first we downloaded, I showed you how to download Beyond 2020 and the raw census data. I showed you how to use Beyond 2020 to find data